All right, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and begin because I see that we're about 11:15 a.m. So this is the session from Farms to Incubators, Women in Agtech. And my name is Amy Wu, so I'm really happy to be here. Couple of things is I'm going to go through an introduction, and then also I'm going to talk a little bit more about the session, and then we'll go from there. This session is being recorded as well, just to let everybody know that. So my name is Amy, and I'm really honored to be here at the 2020 Witty's Virtual Summit. I'm really thrilled to be at this event where, as I understand, we have over 10,000 women in technology and innovation from like all over the world, convening to network at this first virtual session and learning new skills and networking and exchanging possibilities and opportunities. Welcome to the first fireside chat called From Farms to Incubators, Stories of Women Innovators in Agtech. Happy Wednesday, no matter where you are. So a few housekeeping things to begin with is that we're going to open the session to questions about maybe 20 minutes before we end. So please feel free to type in your questions in the chat box throughout the discussion. If you share information about the session, please on social media, if you post it, #WittySummit. And then the session is being taped and recorded, so it can be accessed 30 days within today. So you can feel free to also listen to it again or share it with your network also. So I'm going to share a bit about my work in connection with Agtech, and then I'm going to introduce our very special guest, Miku Jiha, the founder of AgShift, and then we are going to open it up to questions and answers. First, a little bit about myself. I'm a journalist by training and a writer for the women's ag and Agtech movement. I'm also the founder of From Farms to Incubators. It's a multimedia platform, and we use video, documentary, photography, the written word, and social media to highlight the accomplishments and the stories of women innovators in Agtech, particularly women of color. And we have an award-winning documentary called From Farms to Incubators that's been screened dozens of times at places such as Techonomy, South by Southwest, Worth Magazine. And a little bit about what I'm working on now is I'm finishing up a forthcoming book to be published by California book publisher Linden Books, which is going to have the portraits of women leaders in Agtech and food farming and Agtech. More background about myself is I used to cover agriculture and local government in the Salinas Valley, not too far from the Bay Area where Witty usually holds their conferences. So I'm going to shift this back now to Witty. So this is an organization that I'm very excited to be associated with and have a deep respect for. I was actually at the Witty conference in 2017 where I moderated a panel about women in Agtech, where Miku was actually part of that as well. And that was when the film was also completed. So here we are 3 years later, and agriculture and technology there's no better time to talk about this. Why is it a good time? Well, farmers are increasingly challenged by climate change, labor shortage, water and land supply shortage, particularly in California, the depletion of arable and farmable land, and they are increasingly turning to innovation and technology such as blockchain, AI, robotics, automation to solve some of their biggest problems. And they also face a lot of pressure to feed the world. It's estimated that by 2050, the global population is going to be 9 billion. So globally, we're fast moving toward a more technologized society, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. We've already seen this with medicine, education, and the way we work. So agriculture too is at the forefront of this revolution with Agtech. So we're going to ask like several different questions during this talk. You know, can we make farming more efficient with robots? What are the latest developments in Agtech? And how can ag tech and innovation play a role in crop yield and also reduce farming's impact as well? So I'm going to actually now introduce our special guest, Miku Jiha, as the founder and CEO of AgShift. And I love her story. She grew up planting mango trees on a fourth generation family farm in northern India. She can tell you more about that. She's a really passionate entrepreneur and product executive with a track record of starting other startups as well. She worked at IBM previously also. And at AgShift, she manages a team of data scientists, researchers, technologists, and all driven by a similar passion to digitize the food supply chain with cutting edge innovations in deep learning and data science. She has an MBA from Cornell University and a bachelor's degree in computer science from the University of Mumbai. And on a personal note, I first met Miku back in 2017 when Pam Marone, you'll want to look her up as well. She's the founder of Marone Bio Innovations in California, introduced us. Pam is a mentor and an advisor to really promising female founders in ag tech. And she said, you must speak to Miku. So Miku and I connected, and she ended up being one of the 4 women that, I apologize, I'm actually turning into like light to dark. So here I am again. She's one of the 4 women who I profiled in the film and in the documentary. So with that, I also want to make a special announcement during this, this fireside chat. So this is really exciting. From Farms to Incubators and WITI are announcing that we're partnering on a very special Farms to Incubators WITI Agtech membership group for women specifically interested in food, farming, and agtech. The intention is to bring like the power of the WITI platform to communities that are really interested in the agtech space. That could be investors, companies, entrepreneurs. And we really hope that members will consider joining and also connect with other members who are passionate about, again, food, farming, and ag tech, and just learn. Like if you're interested in learning about this growing industry and leveraging your skills, this is a really great network to join. So stay tuned for more details on that over the summer. And thank you, David Layton and the WITI team for this partnership as well. We really look forward to working on that together. So with that, we're going to start by playing a short excerpt of the film From Farms to Incubators, and also that's going to follow with a short clip about Miku's innovation as well. So enjoy. Can everybody hear that? I guess the volume is not working.
When they came to the U.S.
Is that better, Amy?
It's much better, yeah.
When you have a diverse group of people, decision making is more robust and you get better outcomes, better creativity, because you have different perspectives.
I think maybe you just get used to being a minority and you stop thinking about it after a while. Everyone's an outsider in their own way, I think. Once you're able to focus on the successes and the message that you want to get out there, then the conversation becomes a lot easier.
In America, less than 1% of the population actually farms anymore. So we have a very, honestly, precarious situation where we have an aging population of farmers and not very many people who are doing it.
And it's very, very important that we make this sustainable. So we are putting technology to work to solve that problem.
The story started more than 5 years ago when Diane and I met. Both of us were very passionate about the way in which we can arm community members with a way to stay one step ahead of disease.
We've
Oh, looks like we lost the volume again. No, I guess we may have volume issues today, right? So, Miku, do you think we can get the volume, or do you just want to fast forward to your part?
This is Josh. Did you check off on the optimize for video when you did the screen share? Instead of sharing the whole screen, just try to just share the video player. So have the video player open.
Okay,
then,
I'm not sure.
Who is it?
It's
Amy,
being
are you
shared.
sharing?
I'm not sharing it actually.
Oh, you're
no.
not.
Yeah.
Miku, are you sharing it? I don't
It
think
looks
she
like
can
we
hear
might
me.
have lost her with the volume
Okay.
as well. Okay. Well, we can, a couple of things is, you know, I will make sure that the clip, if any of you is interested in the video, I will make it available to everybody who's here. So we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, it looks like, but I'll make the trailer and the video available to everybody. I just do want to make sure, can you hear us still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, do we want to try to share that again, because the volume is not coming through with that video?
Yeah, I mean, I had it put on the max volume, not sure what's going
Miku,
on.
it's because you're wearing headphones and you're routing the sound through the headphones to you. What you have to do is
Yeah, I had removed the headphone, Josh. Made a video.
Okay.
So I'm not connected to the headphone anymore.
Okay.
So let me try it one more time.
Yeah, and also if you go to your,
Yeah. Go ahead.
there you go. So maybe restart it.
My parents are immigrants and they were field workers when they came to the U.S.
My grandfather was a farmer where he had his own farm that he fed his family.
When you have a diverse group of people, decision making is more robust and you get better outcomes, better creativity, because you have different perspectives.
I think maybe you just get used to being a minority and you stop thinking about it after a while. Everyone's an outsider in their own way, I think. Once you're able to focus on the successes and the message that you want to get out there, then the conversation becomes a lot easier.
In America, less than 1% of the population actually farms anymore. So we have a very, honestly, precarious situation where we have an aging population of farmers and not very many people who are doing it.
And it's very, very important that we make this sustainable. So we are putting technology to work to solve that problem.
The story started more than 5 years ago when Diane and I met. Both of us were very passionate about the way in which we can arm community members with a way to stay one step ahead of disease.
We've built a really simple soil test for growers and farmers to be able to look at the biology of their soil. The soil biology plays a huge role in yield and crop health, soil health, and sustainability.
At least 3 times a week, we're out in the fields in Salinas. Getting in that feedback directly from our customer base, the growers, who are in desperate need of this technology. So we are making our technology fit the needs of the growers.
So our company, we do equipment tracking, science-keeping, and field scouting. It's a mobile app, so all the data collection is just through your smartphone.
Would you change anything right now?
Yeah, but like the same structure is just like
Trying to implement that software and telling them we can give them something that works that's better. They've also had other companies come in and say that, but a lot of times it's been companies from Silicon Valley. They come in from a different perspective, and so what makes us unique is knowing the ag side and knowing their processes. Yeah.
I mean, ADHD, the disorder is just easy to solve, but it's still so prevalent. When I was little in Saigon, my mother, she would get the food and dye the rice with it, and the color of it is so strikingly red. I just have the hunch that this is, the food was really rich. Red melon, the food to me that stand out.
I came up with a way so that the farmers can then use whatever they have to make the oil and then keep that oil in their household.
It's important that the field be diversified and that women be at the table. Women don't get treated well unless there's a critical mass.
My daughter is 10 years old. She asked me, what is it that you're doing? And when I share that with her, she has a spark in her eye that, wow, I didn't know that's how you grow strawberries. Once the spark is there, they will find most innovative ways to grow things.
Rolling.
Amy, do you want me to continue or?
Yes, this is the part where we're showing Miku's innovation. It's just about half a minute, so let it roll. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And we're gonna just jump right into that. I'm really excited that we were able to see a clip, Miku, of your technology. I remember visiting your offices in Santa Clara like a couple years ago now and seeing the machine that's called a Hydra, and I was like, wow, how does this work? So tell us a little bit about your main technology, the Hydra. Like, what inspired you, first of all, to launch the Hydra? I mean, you moved also from New York all the way to California to launch this, right?
Yeah, no, first of all, thanks. This is a good opportunity to, and a really good platform. I'm glad I'm part of this. Yeah, and a lot of this started very early on, since I'm originally from India. There's this inbuilt knowledge and information about small farmholder economies and what goes on in food supply chain. So back here in California in 2016, 2017, if many of us might recollect that California was going through a severe drought back then. And a lot of startups and technology companies, through my IBM role, I was helping them to understand about farms, ag ecosystem, what we could do to solve the drought problem using irrigation and all that. And that's what sparked the original interest, or rekindled those feelings which I always had about doing something in food, and led to the conception of AgShift, where the goal was very simple, which was to put technology to work, so that it can help with the food supply chain issues in a real and meaningful way. And that is what evolved into Hydra, which is essentially, you can call it a different kind of a robot, but it's essentially a way to make the food quality inspection process all the way from the farm to the store much more automated, faster, better, more consistent, so that we as people, as consumers, can have access to better quality of food, and also reduce the food waste, which is a huge problem for everyone. And it has even been more prominent in this, the current COVID-19 crisis, which we are all living through or trying to get through.
Yes, and I mean, that's great. How did you talk a little bit about how you came to that problem point when it came to growers? I mean, from my memory, it didn't start out being the Hydra. It was another technology before, and then you did a pivot, right? So maybe you can talk about why you did that pivot, and then how you chose food waste as the challenge to eventually tackle.
Yeah, so yes, we did a pivot because the goal was that what is that one thing we can do which can help growers get better pricing and better margins on, on their harvest, because whether it's strawberry or whether it's almond, it takes a lot of intensive effort to grow that crop. And the question was, what can we do so that, whatever is the quality, they get paid in relation to that quality which is coming from their farm, which is the harvest. So we did approach it in many different ways, but then we realized that if we can make the quality inspection process better across the supply chain, because once the food leaves the farm, it does get inspected at every point in the supply chain. Like if you track the journey of a strawberry, then once it has left the farm, then it will make it to a shipper, then it will make it to a wholesaler, a packer, a distribution center. It goes through multiple hops, right, before it makes it to a Costco or a Safeway where me and you as consumers go and buy it. Now, the thing is that at every hop, it does get inspected for quality, and based on that, many decisions are made, whether it is paying the grower or whether it is, paying upstream or downstream, whether to accept that shipment or not. So the thing was, we realized that the best way to give the value back to the growers was to give the supply chain organizations who are going to inspect that harvest tools, more powerful tools, so that they can do a better job of doing the inspections. So that was a learning which we had after spending more than 6 to 8 months with growers, with different organizations, with some of these, largest organizations like Driscoll's and others. So that is what led to the belief that if we can make this crucial process of, inspecting the quality, how when you buy something, you see there is a grade A or a grade B or a grade C. And that decision, if that decision can be made, automated, it can be made better, it can be objective, and it can be unbiased, right? Done by a tool as opposed to a person. And rather than inspecting, say, 100 berries, if you could inspect 1,000 berries, right? So those are all the ways in which anyone can do a better job of inspecting the harvest, the commodity, and that value goes back to the grower. So that is what led to the vision and building the Hydra, saying there is all this talk about AI, we all talk about self-driving cars. Why can't it be applied to something which is, truly meaningful and which we all interact with from the day we are born to the day we leave this planet, which is food. And there was nothing which needed convincing to me as a technologist to say, let's make this whole process AI-enabled, AI-driven. Let the strawberries or almonds be self-grading strawberries and almonds so that this whole process becomes, highly efficient and which benefits everyone in the supply chain and eventually us, the consumers, who drive a lot of this.
So the technology and the innovation is fascinating to me. So while you identified the problem that growers are facing, can you please share a little bit about how you identified AI as part of the innovation technology? I mean, basically, I'm looking at this machine, I'm really impressed. I'm fascinated by it. How did you come up with the actual technology and decide on AI for it?
So, we looked at what the existing technologies can do. And then, as I said, AI has still a long way to go, but it also came a long way by 2017, 2018 timeframe, because a lot of this innovation was contributed by companies like Google and Facebook and all that. And our premise was very simple, that, as we were assessing, our problem statement was clear, that we want to make this quality inspection process autonomous, faster and better, and, all that. So we knew what we wanted to do. And then it was about, okay, how do we do it, right? It didn't matter. For us, it was, how do we solve this problem? It wasn't that, okay, you know, AI is so cool, let's find a problem to solve for it. It was completely reversed, though, you know, that's not typically the way Silicon Valley startups go. But for us, it was completely reversed. We were very focused on how do we make these strawberries self-grading strawberries, right? That's like an example. And that's what led to choosing the technologies. That's what led to building the Hydra, right? Because we, for example, we said, okay, you know, can we do it with a mobile app? Because I have more than 10 years of experience in doing many different things with mobile, with companies like VMware and IBM, who were pioneers in it. So naturally, you know, first thought process was, can we do it with the app? But then we realized that who is actually inspecting this, right? So it is some of these massive organizations in the world who are doing these inspections for the farm. And there, if you go into a processing facility, a cooler, or distribution center, you'll see that they do like one inspection every 10 minutes. Okay. So this is an industrial solution. You have to deliver it at that speed, at that pace, to be meaningful, to truly be a solution. So that led to building the Hydra, you know, which is hardware, which is a complete system in a box. But this is how we could enable the operators to you know, to do their jobs in better, faster, inspecting more samples in half of the time. So we did it because, again, our goal was we wanted to solve the problem. It didn't matter that, you know, we had to build hardware, we had to do AI, we had to do computer vision. It was whatever it took to solve that problem in a meaningful way. We took it on and put it together so that today our customers, you know, are extremely happy because for them it's a turnkey solution. We put the Hydra at the facility, and as you saw in the video, they put the strawberries. They have exactly 2 to 3 clicks. You put the commodity, you take a picture, and you are done. As an operator, that is all you have to do. And the system takes over. It does all the heuristics, does the analysis, and gives you a final report within 20 seconds saying, hey, these are all the issues I found, and this is your quality, right? So we wanted to give this industry a turnkey solution. They shouldn't be thinking about technology. It should not matter to them, honestly, that I'm using AI, I'm using deep learning. That's not important to them, right? They have to do their businesses. They're in the business of moving the food, moving the fruit, feeding the people, and doing it day after day after day. They shouldn't be thinking about anything related to how we have put the solution together. And that's what we did. That's what we have achieved.
So Miku, I think the last we talked, and I'd love an update on this. You mentioned that it was very close, the Hydra, I'm talking about the technology, was very close to being commercialized. Where are we with that now? And maybe you can talk a little bit about like the beta testing part. You work with Driscoll's and some other companies, right? So maybe talk about that, and also where are you at with the commercialization now?
Sure. So we have been at it for some time. And since this is a AI solution, we are very focused on like certain categories of food, because as we all understand, food is pretty broad, right? So we are focused on applying our solution for fresh produce and edible nuts. So in fresh produce, we are commercially ready on strawberries, and we have started the work on raspberries, on baby carrots, and few other things. And on strawberries, we have been in active commercial trials with Driscoll. So we have multiple Hydras installed across multiple facilities for Driscoll's. And we are going through this advanced commercial acceptance testing with them. Obviously, you know, the COVID hasn't helped us, as it hasn't helped any of us. But that's where we are at. We are in the last phase of doing the commercial acceptance testing with them. And we are in the same stage on edible nuts also. So we are commercially ready on almonds as well. And we are going through the last phase of commercial trials actually this week with couple of our customers. So I would say, we are focusing really hard because we are in this last lap of getting into commercial deployment. And one reason why we are expediting the production rollout is also because as we all understand that, food processors and food facilities are obviously open because it's an essential business, right? So they have been open, but the quality inspection part, since it is pretty much a manual process, you don't have the same workforce coming to the facility to do the job, right? So the organizations are suffering because quality inspection is a mandatory process. So unless you do it, you can't really move the food forward, but you don't have the same capacity to do the inspection. And that is why we are working with our customers and working on expediting that process so that even if they're not able to get 100% of their workforce, with Hydras by their side, they'll still be able to complete all the inspections and move that food forward, which helps the businesses sustain, which helps them, continue their operations, and most importantly, it helps them so that, as an ecosystem, we reduce the food waste all the way as it moves from farm to the consumers. So in the light of what is happening as a COVID analysis, a couple of things are very clear, that we all have to strive to bring automation in many different aspects. What we are tackling is one part of the food supply chain, but as a generic statement, we have to work towards bringing automation in all these different points of the supply chain so that this ecosystem can survive in the light of what we are all living today.
Some really good points, particularly, with how the pandemic has impacted the way that, we do business in agriculture. So what is your vision as to then how your technology and maybe even innovation in general is going to change the way the workforce is in agriculture? In other words, are we, in the food safety area, is this going to replace people and food safety inspection specialists and so forth? What's your crystal ball of this?
No, I don't think it's going to replace people. It's going to augment the workforce because the same workforce could be doing much more higher value activities for the organizations, and it will augment the workforce. That's one. And the second thing is that I feel it's really about time where all this access to technology, to be very honest, which we take for granted, or we have easy access for it in other verticals, in other industries, they have to make it to food, right? Because if we look at all the reports, if we look at all the analysis, it becomes very clear that food is always like, a third or a fourth or a last one from focus perspective in terms of, cutting edge innovation and technology and what could be possible. And we have to break that barrier. My thought process always has been that the most innovative solutions have to come to food first, because then rather than talking about, all this food waste and how do we grow more to feed more people and, we are wasting more food in the current months, a lot of that, the conversation can change because we can do a better job of managing the food which we are already growing to feed the people, as opposed to figuring out ways of growing more food, right? And a lot of that can be helped with automation. So I feel that, the next evolution for food supply chain is technology, it is automation. We are delivering one aspect of it, and we are very confident that, this is going to help the organizations have a better handle, because at the end of the day, technology is just a tool. If you translate it very simply, it's a tool. It can augment, it can make things better, more efficient, faster, and it's that much more value for everyone. So I think coming out of this COVID, as organizations analyze, right, how do they want to address this situation and be better prepared in the future, they are going to give it a new redefined focus in terms of adopting technology to solve some of these problems.
I'm going to ask one more question, and then we're going to move to Q&A, I believe. But let's talk about opportunities a bit. Let's talk about opportunities in ag tech and for ag tech startups. What opportunities do you foresee for investors in this area of ag tech that you're in?
So I think, ag tech, again, to be very honest, it is always going to be a different vertical. I'll put it that way, because I've done many startups in mobile space, in enterprise space, being the traditional blue software entrepreneur before AgShift. Whenever you talk about ag tech, there are two conflicting things. One is that it's obviously a massive opportunity, right? Because it's food, it's global, it doesn't go away no matter what happens. Whatever it is, we all got to eat, we all got to grow. So the opportunity in terms of a market opportunity is really, really massive. But on the other end, it's nothing like you can have a quick return. It doesn't work that way because it's food. If you're doing anything, right, a simple way I can share it with, everyone here is that you are very much bound by the seasons, right? If you're going to build any technology, any solution, it doesn't matter what it is, even if you're capturing data on the farm to bring some farm recording efficiencies, whatever it is, you are driven by season. So you at least need one season to build the product. You need one season to test the product. And then you need the third season to commercially deploy that product, right? It's simple. But 3 seasons in a world of a startup is 3 years. And no one has patience for 3 years, right? To get to, I won't say no one, but I would say that is what makes it challenging, that you have to, as an investor or as an organization or as an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter which side of the table you are, but it has to be a very patient, long-term commitment to actually get into ag tech compared to other verticals. And trust me, I know I've done mobile startups, I've built mobile apps. It's a very different ecosystem. I can put something together, get it to market. This does not work like that. For example, right, from going back to our AI solution, so we have to solve for a defect in strawberry called decay, right? When the berry has a decay, you want to, train the AI to look for that and say this is a decay. But in one season, we got 100 decayed berries, right? So I cannot solve it. And until I solve it, I can't really get to the market. So this is just saying that it has to be a very different mindset for everyone if we truly want to change the equation and bring some meaningful solutions to ag tech, which can truly help the organizations. The mindset has to be very different.
One more very quick question, and then I'm going to go to the Q&A. Opportunity again. The second part of my question is that what kind of opportunities do you foresee at a company like yours? Are you hiring? And what kind of people are you looking for when it comes to technology? What's on your wish list for folks? Are you hiring? If you're hiring, who are you looking for? What kind of folks?
Sure. So, we are always looking for, from the technology perspective, we are always looking for AI data scientists and people who understand and have the, just being a good technologist is not good enough. You also have to share the passion of what really you're trying to solve, right? Because it does get very difficult when you have to stare at 300 almonds for 20 hours to solve the problem, right? That's what we're doing from the AI perspective. So you have to feel that, connection. And, it's unfair to ask that everyone should feel it, right? So that there's a fit which we assess there. And the other thing is, we did want to we did want to play a role in creating jobs for for a different audience. So what we are also what we are also looking for is quality inspectors. People who have done this manual quality inspections for different kinds of berries or almonds or edible nuts, because we want to take their help to train the models. Because essentially at the end of the day, what you're doing is you are teaching the AI, right, to do the same thing, what a person has learned over, say, in their working capacity. So we are looking for that also. And some of it is, it's not that we cannot do without that, but this is where we are trying to create few jobs as our contribution to, the current economic crisis. So that's the second aspect where we are looking to find good people and help us build these models for certain things like, almonds and strawberries and blueberries, those kind of commodities. So if there are quality inspectors out there who are looking for, some kind of some relationship, then we can definitely work with them.
Okay, I think I'm going to mix it up a little bit with a couple of questions that are coming in. This question is from Jess Moyer, who's a senior scientist, advanced technology innovation team at Xylem Inc. And I'm going to ask a question. It's a general question. When I think about tech incubators, I think about funding and acceleration. And I understand that storytelling is a critical input to achieve those goals for a startup company. But does Farms to Incubators envision a future involving functioning as an incubator for women and minority-led Agtech incubators? That's a really interesting question. I've never gotten one like that before, and it's a good one. So I'll answer that one. I have, as the founder and leader from Farms to Incubators, I had not initially thought of us having an incubation or being an incubator, frankly, for women founders in the startup arena. However, increasingly, I see a need for accelerator programs, especially for very young startups who are trying to get into the field, who are just beginning to put their idea together and launch it. I see a value in having such a kind of program and a resource. Now, whether or not From Farms to Incubators will become literally an incubator, I'm not quite sure yet, but there's definitely room for such programs. As I understand, there are existing incubators or accelerator programs like Thrive. SVG Thrive is coming to my mind, that actually have helped quite a few ag tech startups get off the ground. So maybe Miku, you can talk a little bit about the value of having accelerators and incubators, and has that really helped your company get off the ground too, particularly as a young startup company?
So I think it is definitely helpful, and we were part of the Thrive cohort of 2017. I would say that the value comes, if you had to assess the value of the incubator program itself, a lot of it comes from what is the ecosystem behind them, and what kind of customers or strategic partnerships or relationships they can open the doors for. And that's, I would say, 10x more valuable than the money part. Because what happens is that this is a very common problem, or for at least for tech entrepreneurs, that we always start from the premise that we know what the problem is, right? And we just have to build a solution for that. And then you build a solution, and then you try to validate, and then you figure out, oh, really, that's not the problem, right? So the thing is that is a mistake or a expense which you do not want to have as a young startup when you're starting, that you build something, you invest your life, sweat, and blood without really 200 times being accurate that you are solving the problem and there is a business need for what you're doing. And in the early stage, that validation is very, very crucial, which you can only get from people who are in the industry, who are in the supply chain, who are in the ecosystem. And that's where the incubator programs can help a lot, because if you start doing it on your own, you'll still get there, but it will just take you that much more time and energy to even get started on your product or solution, whatever your vision is of doing or building. So I put a lot of value on what is the ecosystem behind the incubator. Do you have customers? Do you have advisors? Can I tap into somebody? Can I knock at someone's door and say, this is what I'm doing? Is it making sense? Will you pay for it? Things like that. It's much more valuable than, getting some kind of a bootstrap funding amount to get started.
I guess the other question along with that is that do you feel like there's a need for programs or incubators or frankly even VC firms or investment funds that specifically are targeting women-led companies? Do you think that would be more helpful to get more companies that are founded by women actually invested in?
I feel it's not so much about like women-led. I feel it's more about matching of the passion to solve. These are very tough problems, right? And to solve that, you have to have this match of the passions. What I would say is that, certain things, and this is like just me as a person, as a woman, as a mother, right? It's not a generic statement, but the thing is, the correlation with food is, I feel, higher for women because we interact with it a lot more. This is who we are. So if we apply ourselves to solving the issues in the food supply chain, we might come up with many different ways or thought processes, right? Which could truly bring these changes, right? Because it's just that I feel, at least for me, I always feel I'm that much closer to food than someone else. So intuitively, if we used our thought process, our capabilities and applied it to food, like if we think about food waste, maybe the solutions which we come up with as women could be very, very different and out there compared to a normal thought process, right? So I feel there, maybe if there are enough women looking into this problem statement, we can come up with many more interesting ideas worthwhile to do. So from that perspective, I feel, yes, that would help. But apart from that, I think, anybody could just be passionate enough and say, fine, I can't solve world hunger, but maybe I can do something to solve 1% of that, right? And that is good enough. If, there are enough to solve 1%, you can get to 100%, right? In theory, at least.
Another question is coming in here by Estrella Bonds. So, Miku, if you can talk a bit about how did you go about building your initial team? Identify like skill gaps, and did you reach out to like former coworkers or your MBA network? And this is a critical question. So how did you build your initial team?
So I started, first thing is starting from acceptance. So I started from acceptance that I really did not know much about the industry I was getting into, right? That's just being very, very, very honest with yourself, that I was a complete outsider. I knew a lot of things about a lot of things, not about food, how the system works, what happens. So I started by first building a team of advisors and going to them, and and Pam is a classic case. To share with all of you, I just reached out to her on LinkedIn saying, you are from Cornell, I'm from Cornell, you cannot deny me a meeting. That's it, right? That's what you got to do, right? So I started by building a group of advisors. Then I partnered with people who really understood the supply chain. Once I figured out that I want to do something in quality inspection, then I tried to look for people who can educate me that, don't go south, go north, kind of. So first 5-6 months, I really did not have a technical team. I did not have people to build something because I was still trying to validate that what I'm building, am I on the right track? Or what I'm thinking of building, am I on the right track or not? And then after that was clear, after I had my advisors, I had my strategic partners, then I reached out to, my network of people in technology to say, okay, let's start doing a proof of concept, and this is what we want to do. So I think that, I would say that's crucial. If you originally are not whichever industry you're trying to solve the problem for, that, just be very humble about it, because if you're humble, every industry is a big industry. You will find handful of people who will put you on the right track, but you have to ask. You have to ask for help in a very persistent way till you get your answers. And people, at the end of the day, when the entrepreneur has the passion to solve it, not like, superficial, when they have the real passion to solve it, some percentage of people will come back, it's a very low number. I'm not going to give you false hopes. It's a very low percentage, but maybe that low percentage of people who do return your calls or meetings or take your meetings, that will be good enough for you to get started.
So I have another question, and it's going back to the a point that you made that agriculture, ag tech is certainly unique in many different ways. I mean, everything from beta testing, you're looking at a growing season that takes much longer than other industries, to the fact that ag tech is still fairly new to a lot of investors. So talk about how have you been able to raise money for your company, and what avenues did you take to do that?
So that one, again, like as we all know, the ecosystem, it's a tough vertical to raise funds, right? I'm almost feeling that I'm not saying a lot of things positive about Agtech, but that's not the case. It's just that for the reasons we talked about, seasonality, the time it takes for adoption, it's a long, drawn-out cycle, which does have an impact on the investor mindset too. So for us, when we started, we reached out to individual people who understood the problem statement, who understood what we are doing, like individual investors. That's where we started. And fundraising, it's a different journey for every startup. So nothing I share, it's not a framework. It depends on a lot of factors. But for me, I first started by finding individual investors who were convinced about what we were doing and shared the passion of working with us on solving this problem. That's where we started. And then as we build out the company, then we went to more seasoned traditional investors and sought their help. Because if you can find, in the early stages, if you can find individual investors who are more or less like also your strategic advisors, then that's a big help. Because like I said, even when we talked about the incubator program, it's not just about the money. You can get it in many ways, but you have to make sure that you are on the right track and you have right set of people, whether it's advisors, whether it's your team, or whether it's your investors, right? Because no company is built by an entrepreneur alone. It takes a village to raise an entrepreneur, as they say, and that's what is needed.
So what next for AgShift? What next in terms of your innovation, your business plans, the rest of 2020, maybe into 2021?
So, yeah, I mean, right now our goal is to, get into, complete our trials, which are ongoing for certain commodities. And as the season kicks in for almonds and strawberries and other commodities, which thankfully, at least the second half, I'm hoping it will be better than the first half of this year. But, regardless, so our goal is to get those into production deployment, into commercial deployment this year. And then it is a usual course of scaling the solution to other commodities, like, exploring on blueberries, on baby carrots, whatever it is where we feel we can deliver the maximum value to organizations. We'll pick those up and build out that entire portfolio of offering for our Hydra solution. So goals this year, I think, maybe first goal is survival, survive 2020. I think that's a good enough goal in itself for all of us, whether it's personal or professional front. And the second is to at least the commodities on which we are ready, and the season is supporting it, because almond season is only, the harvest will begin from August. For strawberries also, we have the season till November. So we're going to try everything possible to get into operations so that our customers, who are also our partners, can start using the solution in this season and be better prepared for whatever are the uncertainties which we still have to plow through for this year.
Now, I see that time is flying by. I think we may only have a few more minutes. So, my question, maybe to even end with potentially, is that you've had other startups before, Miku. You came with startup experience as well. So, is AgShift like your last potential startup? Are you thinking about other startups in what space? Would you do another startup in the Agtech space? And if you did, what kind of area would it be in?
Well, first of all, I think you called out how old I am. Yeah, but I'm very old in terms of the startup age, because this is my third startup. But I don't know. I feel this has been, being in the food has truly been a very humbling experience compared to, other startups I have done. It has taken a lot out of me to, but I would think that if I had to do another startup, I'll still do it all over again in food. That much I have no doubt in my mind, because I feel, like I said, at the end of the day, even if there are 100 people, and I hope, more than 50% of that is women, but if they say I'll solve 1% of all these talks which I'm hearing, right, about food waste, feeding more people, making sure that, we do something where next generation has an easier time, even inspiring them to get into food and get into ag, then I would, if you have 100 women, then, you might get to 100%, and that's the vision I have for myself, and hopefully many on this panel can get inspired and be part of this journey.
Really, really well put. So I want to, this is the end of our time with the fireside chat, but I wanted to end with a couple of things. Number one is that, again, this was a recorded fireside chat. So feel free to please share the session. And if you do, please tag Witty Summit. Also, this recording is available from today to 30 days after the summit as well. And then please feel free to access, the video and also the trailer at farmstayincubators.com. And please also check out the website for AgShift as well, and also the social media for the Facebook for both Farms to Incubators and AgShift too. Very excited again and honored to speak at the virtual summit this year. And if there are any other questions, please feel free to reach out to Miku and I through the LinkedIn network. Does that work, Miku?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for everybody's time, and look forward to more sessions at the summit. All right.
Hey,
thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Real quick?
Oh.
Amy,
Hey,
sorry,
Dave, yeah.
and I wasn't able to rename myself, but thank you. Sorry about the technical issues with this. I'd love to do maybe a repeat of the session a week or two. We'll promote it to all the members because we really want to make sure that, you know, the opportunities in ag tech for our members are known about, how we can support you, Miku, and entrepreneurs like you, and what Amy's building and how we can build it together. So please, let's keep in touch and let's definitely build some great things together. And I love the incubator for the incubators too. So I mean, that has to, like, we have to figure that out, right?
That's a great idea.
But the
I like
name